The Dallas Texans had high hopes when they opened for business in 1952. But right from the start, they began an embarrassing retreat to the bottom of the standings.
You went in there, you could beat them with anything. They just didn't have it. They had some good individuals now, but they didn't have enough. Not enough to beat anybody. So you were very happy if you had them on your schedule.
Los Angeles had Dallas on their schedule, and the Rams' Herb Rich, number 42, turned in the longest scoring play of the year with a 98-yard return of an intercepted pass. While the Texans seemed to have no appetite for victory, they were gluttons for punishment.
We had one guy got hurt, Barney Poole. They took him over to the hospital. They fixed him up. He hit straight back and played in the last quarter. God's honest truth. They took him over to the hospital, set his broken finger, and he came back. The ambulance left to come back to the stadium, and Barney was in his uniform, so he got out on 33rd Street near in front of the hospital. He hit straight. The guy picked him up, brought him back to the stadium, and he played in the fourth quarter.
The Texans' most effective play consisted of Hank Lauricella or Bob Solari firing blindly downfield into a crowd of receivers hoping for a miracle.
You know, Solari didn't want to get killed. Our offensive line wasn't that good, and they were pouring in on him, so they put the play in. He said, just run down, and he'd throw the ball up in the air, and if it come down the right hand, it's good. If it was intercepted, what the hell? It's just another play, you know.
Although the Texans' offense was often exhilarating, its defense brought on that run-down feeling. And the Texans lost all of their first 9 games and all of their fans as well.
They were so bad and the attendance was so poor that they had to play, I think, the last 3 or 4 ball games that were scheduled at home, they had to play them on the road.
It didn't make any difference. We knew we weren't any good, and we were playing out the string, and we felt sorry for the people, but there was nothing you could do. We didn't have the manpower to beat the teams we were playing. And the team folded during the middle of the year, and we got our checks, and Jimmy Phelan, who was our coach, he called practice and everything. He offered, all right, go down to the bank and cash your checks before they all start bouncing. So that's what we did. We went down to the bank and got our checks, and then we went on the road in Hershey, Pennsylvania, were our headquarters for the last 4 games of the season, and the league paid our salary. When we were in Hershey, we were running out the string. We didn't have any bed check. We knew we would try to get the season over. It was a disaster. We practiced maybe for about an hour, and the main thing the defensive did, we used to play volleyball with the football over the goalpost, the crossbars. That was a big thing, and the best thing of Hershey was the nightlife. Man, we stood Hershey on its ear. I'll never forget the Dallas Texans and then Hershey. A fight started in a bar. Horner and Chubby Griggs were going to go at it, and Buddy Young says, I'll break this up. Old Chubby picked up Buddy and threw him right into the jukebox. Buddy said, I better get the hell out of here before I really do get killed. So anyhow, Chubby got so drunk, he fell down, and we couldn't pick him up. He was 330 pounds. So we went and got a sleigh, and we put him face down on a sleigh, and 8 of us carried him back to the hotel. And anyhow, we're walking by, and we're singing the funeral march, and Chubby's on the sleigh, and all of a sudden, a window from the hotel opens up, and there's Jimmy Phelan, our coach. He says, all right, boys, feeding time at the zoo is over. Everybody get to bed. And we all went to bed.
We were scheduled to play the Dallas Texans down in Dallas, and they ran out of money, and so they transferred the game to Akron, Ohio, in the Rubber Bowl. It was Thanksgiving Day, and we went out on the field to warm up. We had more players on the field than we had fans.
And we came back in after the warm-up, and we were in the locker room, and James Phelan used to smoke a cigar. And he would puff the cigar, and he'd talk on the side of his mouth, and he said, gentlemen, this has not been the best of seasons, but it is Thanksgiving Day. And you do have a lot to be thankful for. We were put out of Dallas, and we're now wards of the league. But all of those clubs who have won have never had the experience that you're going to have today. And everybody looked at him askingly, and he responded this way. He said, the big responsibility that you have, the National Football League, and no other club has had this, that the crowd is so small. Rather than introduce you as a team, you all can go up in the stands and meet the crowd individually.
A tiny crowd of 2,000 fans in Akron's Rubber Bowl were treated to an extraordinary upset as the hapless Texans defeated George Halas's Chicago Bears.
Calafero takes a handoff, races to his right, and sends a pass deep in the end zone. Dick Wilkins leaps, and it's touchdown Texans, leaving the Bears on the short end of a humiliating 20-2 score.
We went into the game with not the right attitude, and it was late in the fourth period, and Halas was really, George Halas was really mad. He said, getting beat by these bums, it's terrible. And somebody got behind defensive back, and Coach Halas thought it was Don Kent, and he kicked Don Kent, and Kent kicked the coach back, and I just can't say in a public media like that the lacing that we took after the game from George Halas, but it was really disgraceful.
The Bears were the only team the Texans beat. And when the season was mercifully over, the Texans were out of business, and the NFL was out of Texas.
They were a pretty bad football club, but amazing so, that football team went on to the Baltimore Colts and was the nucleus of the world champion Baltimore Colts in the late 50s.
They were no development in it, and so if you saw him off the field, he looked a little bit thin.
The most unlikely, even more unlikely than Raymond Berry to be a great receiver. At least Raymond was tall. Jimmy was short, slow, and white.
Despite a lightweight physique, Jimmy Orr tipped the scales in his favor and became a heavyweight receiver with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then with